Hi guys, short session because I received quite some inquiries asking me continuum is a large freehold so therefore it is foolproof. And so why you say this one won't be able to make good profits in 3 to 5 years? I think I already said enough in the previous video. I'm not going to reiterate the same thing, but generally I think it's long story short, my concern is not about the pure fundamentals of that place. My concern is more of the macro side. Your competitors, who are the ones that are also selling at the same time, what kind of price point, and then also don't forget your guys that are older but also freehold. They are always still solid competitors to fight with you. Later I'll show you a little bit of examples for a little bit of illustration. But in this case, in real estate, there is no such thing as foolproof. Okay, nobody can guarantee for sure whether you lose money or make money. But what we can do is, as always, is to reduce the risk. Nobody has the crystal ball. Nobody can see the future. But what we can do is always to reduce the risk and be more conservative. If your I would say wouldn't say bad lah. Your investment run, let it run. Okay, it's good. But in the cases of things going south, at least we want to limit the downside risk. That is something at least I believe in lah. Of course, like what I mentioned before last time, if you want to be like the Dogecoin kind, you want to the moon kind, then we bet to once it almost reach the moon, drop all the way back to earth. That kind of feeling, if that is what excites you, then go ahead, go and buy something that follows the hype. Go and buy the MRT near shopping mall, walk to MRT, you live inside the MRT might as well lah. Okay, so Amber Park I think was an example that a lot of people like to bring up for continuum. But of course, as I mentioned before, the location is a little bit hard to compare because it's slightly in the more so-called more atas place. Those people in that area, they are fiercely defendant of the east. They will feel it lah. I'm not really an Easterner, so I think I can only say from what I hear from some of those who stay in the East. But that time back in 2017, they bought this piece of land, Amber Park, for this PSF PSF PPR. And then, of course, that time was cheaper, but they also kena the COVID fever, which means basically a lot of things went up, prices went up, inflation, and I really don't think that their break-even was just this. But assuming it was really just this, okay, let's just give them the benefit of that. I really don't think it is just based on 550. Because today, continuum, we are just using the same app. They are giving us 800 estimate increment for all the causes. I really don't think that everything that has gone up, or the steel, your fuel causes, or your wages, everything that has gone up, right? Then it is still so cheap. But like I said, we'll just take it as it is for a little bit of comparison. Then for Tiamshu, right, on the other hand, 4 years later, slightly over 4 years later, they were still not able to fetch the price of Amber Park. So you can see the value of that place, even despite these 4 years of fierce market movement, market bull here and there, all the optimism start coming in, blah, 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 low interest rate. And then they were still not able to fetch. So you can see the difference in the kind of perceived land value. And break even was 2296 ma. And but today, recently the newspaper a few days ago came out. They were selling average 27 plus, which gives us an average of about, I think about how much? Can't remember. Let's see, 2735 divided by 2296, around there. Now 19%. Whereas this one, on the other hand, when they were launched, I remember they were launching about 24 something. So let's say about 2450 divided by 2171. Assuming at that point it was still that kind of cost. Like I said, very likely their costs has went up, but we still take it as 2171. Average, we are not talking about low for. Their average launch price was still about 12%. And some of them even managed to get lower than that. So they managed to get in at a profit margin of developers lower than even 10%, some of them. So I remember seeing 2 or even 2.3 on some of the units. And that was a good deal for the kind. But over here, we've seen over the weekend, the lowest was about 2.5 something, which is easily like 10+% for the the worst facing on the lowest level here and there. Like that kind. That's why it's very hard for you to compare apple to apple like this when it comes to the launch price, what I mean. Okay. And then at that point, why were they pricing it so cautiously? Because I feel the developers still they acknowledge that the fact that the gap between the new and the resale was still huge. This one was about 2004, 2008, still not that super old, but they are still freehold. And you see today who is the actual bigger winner. The bigger winner is actually the resale and not actually the freehold in the area. The gap has to close. So today, if somebody is buying, example, consumer 27 plus, court is selling about 1,006, 1,007, if I remember correctly, or even 1,008. That's about 1,000 PSF kind of gap. Then is the gap actually too big? Right? I get you say that, or some of them say the age gap is bigger, but this one also means that the age gap is bigger, continue on I keep saying Dempsey. Anyway, it is still along Dempsey Avenue, about 1,000 PSM. So how they got to close this gap? Who's gonna move? Right? And if the resales don't move, then should the top guy actually, the one on top, actually come up, and do they have the liberty to come down? They can, right? They can, because the profit margin is high enough for them to adjust the price when they need to, as we've seen in two other developments in the east. Over the weekend, Seneca dropped, some of them dropped by about 100,000+ kind of discount, and then Leaf Abbey dropped about 2% kind of discount, and they were back to, if I'm not wrong, very, very, very close to, or even around the price of launch day price. So in that case, where is your first mover advantage? So sometimes it's a little bit, how developers plan. They probably jack up at the start, and then they know sales are not moving, they don't move down, but they want to jack up so that they force people to buy. And this is what people are falling into, the kind of trap that they are falling into. But well, the strategy always works because not everyone is always well informed. So I will give it to them. I'm not gonna blame them. It's just that those people who are more informed of the market, and then you analyze the macros, you realize that there's only so much that certain developers can play around.
Sure.
Okay, and this is Amber Park. Quite some people already seen this for, but only this one just came out not very long ago, 27 April. And you can see this one is not a low floor, by the way, by any means. This is not a very, very low floor. And then this guy transacted at 2.5. That means basically that's the problem when you have this kind of transaction. Because seller sees this, they will think it's just a one-off. But problem is buyers, they see this. Then they will use this to pressure the sellers. Oh, this one transacted and then example, which floor, middle floor transacted already. So why do you think your low floor should be transacted higher than this? And then they will start to bargain on, and that is where we'll reach that point where there's quite a bit of tug of war, and unless everyone is like 2.8, 2.9, that kind of standard, but apparently not. And then remember, these guys are still at that point, are still, all these I think they enter quite high actually. I mean, not the price, as in the floor that they enter actually is quite high for this kind of price. They managed to make decent profits, but if you look at same thing, if you look at the analyzed yield, is not exactly as high as some of the other developments that were launched around that period of time, 2019, 2020. So was this the best deal of the East? I don't think so. There were other developments, maybe even Seaside, by the way, already tried quite some of them even transacted at 2.3. There was one guy who already transacted at 2.5. So does it mean that this area, supposedly more atas, will always have that kind of premium? May or may not be. But because of this guy, he essentially sabotaged a lot of the subsale sellers, and also help a lot of subsale buyers because it gives them a little bit of bargaining leverage. But what is worse in this is that because of this guy, maybe continuum guys may actually end up getting affected. And worst one is also great. Okay. This price, why would I want to buy TG? Come on, I want to buy. I think if I can get this, why come on, this will be a first choice, man. I mean, easily, without a doubt. come to here. I'm getting in maybe a mid-floor kind of price, mid-floor unit at a price that is lower than Continuum. I'm also getting in just a little bit higher than Tembusu Grand. This becomes a no-brainer lah. So congratulations to this guy. I think he deserves a round of applause for managing to get quite a good deal for himself. But cases like this are, I would say, pretty rare. And the guy, I would say 100K, I think he can cover costs lah. At least it's not that bad lah. So what I'm trying to say is that now, because of these guys over here, because previously when they were launched, this one were available and they paint a little better picture for the continuum. But because of this guy now, maybe some of them are stuck already, and that is a little bit of risk posing for those that are coming, and even the GIS that is upcoming. So is a freehold large land a guarantee of profits? This one, by the way, is a freehold large land. Very, very nice views. But you can see the chart even till today where everything else is gone up. Yes, it has gone up. But before you think so, how many people actually managed to get in here? That's the question. So for those of them who were trapped during the hype, were they able to recover? Right? And it's not always that TOP will always have that kind of the peak price kind of effect. This one TOP is about 2015 around this range. And instead of going up, actually they came down. So because right from the start it was overpriced. That's why the pricing strategy, you have to be clear whether it makes sense for you or not. Given the factors around it. And this one was a freehold, maybe because they knew that Reflections was 99 being priced at this kind of level, and therefore a freehold must price at this kind of level, must always price at a premium. But guess what? Because both of them price at a premium, both of them die together. You see, or follow that kind of path together. Okay, come down. Just because somebody launched like this, it doesn't mean that the freehold will always maintain that kind of, yes, it may maintain the gap between this particular development that is leasehold, but the overall trend may not be always going up, and that is not something that we want to always get into. Don't be don't be fooled. This one is not really quite a nice place. Don't have supply problem. So it's not always just a supply problem, and it's not is sometimes also quite a bit of the pricing problem. This one was priced over. This one was, I would say, way overpriced at that point. And that's why you have a lot of risk. And this one also just came in also. You realize that quite some of these that are supposedly more convenient locations. Recently, quite some sub sales came in. They are quite sad, I would say. Got in 2019. That time, wow, full of good deals on the market. But this guy chose the MRT project that is right beside MRT. Yep. And then 2004 plus, exited at 25 plus. How much did they earn? Actually only 35K. Did they even cover buyer's stamp duty? Maybe barely covered buyer's stamp duty. But then if you add in a lawyer, legal fee, haven't even talk about agent fee, this guy is definitely running a big loss, man. Okay, fine. I take back my words. Not really, really very big loss. A few tens of thousands, maybe 30, 40,000, depending on how much he had to pay the agent and other stuff and other miscellaneous fees. But this is definitely not a profitable transaction at all. 6 floor. So this is not like a low floor kind of thing. And so does this mean that always right beside MRT and in a good location CCI, with good schools here and there, is it always a foolproof strategy? That is something that we may have to rethink about. Okay, so at the end of the day, make sure whatever you want to do your research, you want to do a due diligence, you make sure you base your property investment. I'm talking about investment. If you're talking for own stay, then just switch off this channel and just go buy whatever you like. Just go for your heart. But if you want to make money, then you instead of following your heart, you gotta shut off your heart and then gotta follow your brain. You gotta follow some logic. And when it comes to investment, you definitely have to find some things that has very, very strong fundamentals behind it. Are your resale nearby to support? If they are not able to support, then what's going to happen? Is your resale going to climb? Are you going to stay stagnant? Or the new guy is going to come down? Something must happen. Okay, it cannot be too big of a gap in between when there is not much of a difference in fundamentals. Okay, that will be all we have for today. If you need some help, then feel free to text me. Of course, that is if you generally need some help lah. Okay, I will see you guys. Bye bye.